Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, everybody. Come on in. Let's get busy. We got some work to do. Tuesday is our tip day. And so today we're going to talk about some things that I think we need to bring into the equation and start talking about. That's one. And two, just some basic stuff, basics. Basics are always really, really good. So there is Mary Ann. Hi, Mary Ann. And Haida. So good to see everybody. Come on in. I like it. I like it when people show up. How are you doing, Sunil? Good to see you. And Jan, come on in. Come on in. Have you been sharing these videos, by the way? There's Caitlin and Cynthia. I'm happy that you're here too. I love it when people show up. And Kim and Fred Brown. Hello. Tracy. How's Tracy doing today? And Cindy Lou. Hi, Cindy. Joanne. Goodness, everybody's coming in. I like it. I like it. I like it. So today is Tuesday. It is the second day of our sprint. And people are already starting to make things happen. So it's pretty exciting. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you guys. One of the things that has really, that I have noticed after, this is like the third time a big bulk of us have gone through the sprint, and it just, the levels and the layers of who we are is starting to click in. Bobby said she just got her journal last night. She is talking about this, of course. This is the Take Back Your Life journal. And I'm going to be doing a big class on this because I think this is one of the biggest needle movers I think that we have, because this is a way to really plan out your life in a way that's not going to overwhelm you. This is one of our tools that we have to move the needle. And moving the needle isn't just always about weight loss. It's also about the quality of your life. It's about what you want in your life. And this gives you an opportunity to really dial it back and to take a look, big picture. What do I want? What do I want to make this world of mine bigger and brighter? There are so many things that you can do. And this is what this is all about. I believe that we are only just now starting to become aware of what our next part of life is about. We can take anything in our lives and we can say, well, that never worked, so therefore I'm never going to do this, that, or the other thing. Or we can use, even a bad thing in our life as an impetus to say, you know what, I want to get in control. All this is a tool to help you do that. And we break down, instead of breaking down a year's worth of goals and being completely overwhelmed, we look at it in 90-day segments, because that is doable. I'm all about doable. I'm all about making it so that it's kind of an automated system. And that's what this book does. So Take Back Your Life has gone out to all of our Hot Melt Clubbers. And by the way, our Hot Melt Club meets on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. for those of you who are in the club. So don't forget to show up. We're in our little clubhouse on Facebook and we do our thing there. And speaking of the sprint, this is the little tiny mini calendar. Model's got this on sale, you guys, for $9.95. And it is the best way that I know, and I can't show you this because I am private. But I will show you December. But right here on every Monday, I write down my height. I already know I'm the same height. I write down my weight and all of my measurements so I can watch the progress. When we see the progress, when we see the needle moving, it's exciting, and it really feeds our stay with itness, doesn't it? It feeds our stay with itness. So I say use something, and I like this one because I can throw it into my purse, and you can write down what you're eating too, and kind of make a little bit of progress. Speaking of that, also Hot Melt Clubbers, we sent you a copy of my brand new food journal, and it's just a printable copy. It's a digital copy, and it's in the clubhouse. So feel free to download that so you can use it. Next up, I have a couple of things that I want to say about body clutter. And there's a whole bunch of you, and especially Bobby is kind of leading the parade on this book as a tool to help open up your mind and to really get a grip on what's going. This is the book that has done the trick. This is the book that has made a lot of people say, oh my gosh, I never knew this was part of my journey. I never connected the dots that the reason I had this emotional stuff going on in my life is part of the reason why I eat like this. This is the beginning. This is the beginning for peeling that onion. And I'll tell you, writing it was cathartic, and rereading it, even for me, who is one of the authors on this book, is cathartic. So you can pick it up on Amazon. You can get it on Fly Lady's site. Whatever you do, just pick it up and read it. It is the most important book. Okay? Saving Dinner, the low carb way. We are giving that away this week. And a Saving Dinner for the holidays has gone out also to Christine. Tackage is her name. Tackage like package. That's how she told me to say her name. Anyway, she has been kind enough to share. So sharing is how we get started on getting free books. And I give them away every single week. Every single week. So today is Tuesday's tips and tricks. And I always have a tip or a trick, something that I want to share with you. I have a lot of stuff on my mind today, but I'm going to keep it, I'm going to keep it brief. I promise you. But one of the things that just has really stood out to me has been watching my ladies in the sprint group grow and become more and become, a better version of themselves. And the way that we do this, by the way, is by finding our voices again. And I've talked to several women who are in my club group. And by the way, we have a webinar coming up. If you haven't registered yet, it's the same webinar that we did before, but if you'd like to sit through it again, there's some 10 really good reasons why our anti-inflammatory approach to keto works. And I show you and explain the science to you and give you the whole download about this. And this Thursday coming up, and you do have to register for it to get a seat because they only give us so many seats. So if you go to savingdinner.com/webinar, you can find a seat. Okay. So it's this Thursday coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you can't make it, still sign up for it because we will send you the replay right away. And we always hang out to the end. Last time we were there for 3 hours. We had a 45-minute webinar and then all the questions kept coming. And I'm hoping that both Danny will be there, but I'm also hoping that Jenny will be there. Jenny was so fantastic last time and really helped everybody out to make sure that you got the link. It's really helpful. It's going to give you actionable stuff that you can do right then and there. And Marla said it was one of the best webinars she ever saw. So I really appreciate that, Marla. Thank you. But it's well researched. So I suggest that you make a chance. Get in there and go sign up. Even if you saw it last time, do it again this time because it's good information. All right. Now, one of the things I wrote this and I put this in there, cooking from scratch is the single most important thing we can do as a family to improve our health and general well-being, from Michael Pollan. I saw this again it came through on my memories for today. And I said, I have got to just put this out again. It is the most basic, most easy thing. But how many times do we forget about that? And we think that, somebody else can do it better for us. We can make good choices at restaurants, but the best choice of all is your own kitchen. And it's also the cheapest way, and it's how we can make it all happen for our family, for our families. Repeat. Okay. Rami said she read his books. Yes, they're really good books. The Food Rules, simple, easy. I love them. And somebody was asking about the webinar. Okay, here's the repeat. If you go to savingdinner.com/webinar, it's just the / on the question mark. You can sign up for the webinar, and it's this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hi, Cassie. Good to see you. We have 2 supplements that we just introduced, and one we've already sold out. And I haven't told anybody about them. The only people I told about was my club. Beauty support is gone now, but I have new beauty support. We've already ordered it. We had to order it. It just flew out the door. This is excellent stuff. This is basically clothing on steroids, and clothing helps with all of the support that you're getting that you need for your collagen. So your collagen is massively important. This basically, it's like food for your collagen, and it feeds it, and it just puts the whole result on steroids. I've got Marlo taking this at night before she goes to bed. I take it myself at night before I go to bed. I like to know that things are happening inside of me, and I'm giving my body all the tools that it needs. This is an excellent supplement. There's more on it on the page. So if you go to store.com/saving dinner, you can see that information. Also, our Get Lean CLA. This is great. There's 120 capsules in here, you guys. This is going to last you for 2 months. And in it, it's conjugated linoleic acid. Now, conjugated linoleic acid is known for helping, they call it body remodeling. But this stuff is, of course, it's a proprietary formula, and it really works. There's been double research done on this and double-blind placebo studies showing that taking this supplement helps with belly fat and thunder thighs. That's what got me. So I've just started this new one. I'm really excited about it, but it's got the research to back it up. So let's go with it, right? That also is in the shop, and we still have some of that left, although we had to order some new ones. So you've got the webinar coming up on Thursday. Don't forget that one. You have, we are in the sprint right now. It is not too late to join. You can just join a couple of days late, no big deal. Go to savingdinner.com/sprint. It's 100% free. Free is wonderful. And what we are showing you here is how an anti-inflammatory diet can clear the decks and really start you on a true weight loss journey, fat loss journey. And we've got the people to tell you all about it, and an amazing, wonderful, supportive, excellent community. And I say that with all my heart. I have never seen the quality of support, encouragement of people who are in there. They have an elevated level of what community should be about, and they hold this one dear, and they're very protective about it, and you will find support you didn't know existed. And I mean that with all my heart. They're just a wonderful support group, and I adore every single one of them that are in there. It's fabulous. Okay, so you want to talk some stuff? Let's talk stuff. One of the things that I have looked at and I have seen as I've worked within different communities, as I've been a nutritionist for over 25 years now. Yes, my son is turning 28 this month, so that I started on this journey about 26 years ago, and that's when I became a nutritionist. And I, of course, in that kind of a process of being in an intense study, you learn a lot of things. But I've also learned that nutrition is one thing, and who you are and how you present yourself to the world, how you show up, and how everything in your world works is really all about an inside job. And I always want to say to people, yes, we need to eat to support the wonderful life we want to have, right? Does this support the life I'm trying to create? I say that to you all the time. I love that because having that kind of a life and doing things that are supportive of the life that you want, it makes you feel good, and it changes the very core of who you are. But I remember when I was writing, it was Saving Dinner for the Holidays, which I think was my third book at that time in the Saving Dinner series. There's 5. And my editor, Caroline Sutton, she was so lovely. She said to me, I don't think you've actually really harnessed your voice yet, Leanne. And I did not know what she meant. I'm just a little cookbook author. What do I know? But she kept telling me how much she loved the way I described things. And when I was writing things that, obviously weren't a recipe, she said even in some of the recipe directions, she found herself laughing out loud. Well, I never really understood that. But it took me probably about 10 years after she had said that it made me realize that finding your voice, whether it's creatively or it's just out of necessity, is something that I think we as women have a tendency to push down. we don't speak our truths. You've heard that a lot too. And sometimes I find like I just kind of, shake my head on that one a little because it's always like, oh, really? But sometimes it's the truth, isn't it? We find ourselves not speaking up. We find ourselves suppressing what it is that we really should be saying. We put our knowing and our intuition in a box and we just shut up. We've been taught this, from childhood on, whatever homes we grew up, whatever religious teaching was there. But we find ourselves sometimes without a voice, and it's strangulating. Not having a voice is a suppression. It's suppressing who you are. Not having a voice means that your vote doesn't count. You might as well be in 1915 and being a suffragette, hoping to get the vote. I have a feeling that there's a lot of us out there who just haven't even understood what having our own voice is about. And for some, it can be that, we like bust through the doors and we're really loud and obnoxious and we're just like, I want to be heard. And for others, we're looking and we're seeing things inside of us that we don't even know how to express because we haven't really come to terms with what's inside. I read a quote, and I shared this on the Sprint, that said, "You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm." And some of us have been such people pleasers for so long that pleasing ourselves and doing things that are something that we would choose to do, we look at as being selfish and not godly and not becoming. And I want to say, no, that's all wrong. We have to find our voices because our voices count. And we have to start speaking up for ourselves again, or for the first time if we've never done that. And as a woman who came from a marriage that was less than gentle and kind, and I was in a verbally abusive marriage, and I had a really hard time finding my voice. And I shut up. I listened to the church's teachings and I just shut up and submitted, and found myself in the place of really almost self-loathing. I didn't like who I'd become. At one time I was vivacious and lively, and I was thoughtful. I had a lot of friends. I felt generous, and I became a very narrow version of myself. And I didn't like who I'd become. And it was right then, early 2000s, that I also blew my thyroid out. I was going through a divorce at the time, put on 30 pounds in 3 months, and I knew something was wrong. This was also my medical deity, my fanny time with my doctor, because I went to the doctor and she said, well, obviously you need to stay away from the pizza. And I just basically told her off and told her that, medical MD does not stand for medical deity. And I'm telling you what's going on in my life and you're giving me pizza advice? I don't think so. That was the last time I saw her. And we need to get rid of people like that in our lives. We don't have room. This is the beginning of finding my voice. So your voice is your authentic self. You hear it in your head. It is on a deeper level, your knowing, your intuition. And your knowing and your intuition are the same thing. But I don't like the word intuitive, intuition as much as I do knowing, because that knowing is a bedrock of every woman's heart. You know when something's not right with your child. You know when something's not right with you. You know when something out in your world and within your sphere isn't right. And trusting that is finding your voice and is embracing who you are as a woman. That's part of it. But you have to find it again. You have to find it again. And sometimes you have to stir the pot a little bit and start listening to it. And one of the biggest things that you can do is keep a journal and do I am affirmations and what have you. And I'll talk about that in half a second. But the most powerful inner navigational system that we have is our inner knowing. And it's our voice. Our inner knowing is the spark that makes our voice known. And because we need to be saying things, and because we need to use our voice, and sometimes not everybody's going to like it, We also need to know how to use it in a powerful way that isn't in a soul-crushing way, that isn't in a blame-shifting way, but it's in a way that's loving and that is where you take responsibility for yourself. So if you have a conflict with someone, for example, you don't say, you did this, you did that, you make me feel, you did this, nobody makes you feel anyway. You remember that Eleanor Roosevelt quote? Nobody can make you feel anything without your consent. That's the truth. And for us to take personal responsibility for the way we feel, I remember, that just really takes me back, but I remember being in a conversation, this is many years ago, my children were quite little, and trying to have a conversation in the middle of a panic attack about saying how I felt about something. And it wouldn't come out because I couldn't get the air into my body. This is what happens to women who feel suppressed and don't use their voice. And I say this because what I've noticed as I connect the dots and what I've seen over these last 20-something years as being a nutritionist and consulting with people and helping people through different programs and what have you, is there's a big connection between the body clutter on your butt and the body clutter in your head, and really how much are you able to express that voice that needs expressing? Are you afraid of it? Have you suppressed it so much you can't hear it anymore? Is it somebody else's voice that you're using? Are you going along just to get along? It happens all the time. Cheryl Richards said, if you avoid conflict just to keep the peace, you start a war within yourself. And that war within ourself is the part that puts us in absolute conflict with everything. It's the part of us that says, I should do this, I should do that, I'm not going to do this, maybe I should do this, I'm confused, I'm not going to do anything. We need to stop having those wars within, and we need to start expressing and saying that maybe this is what we need to be saying. Allison just said so many of us were raised not having a voice, being told not to speak up. And that's true. Children are to be seen and not heard. Do you remember that one? But we lose our voices by overgiving because we forget that we're part of the equation, you know? We are the quintessential victim on the airplane that went around putting everybody else's air mask on and forgetting about our own and falling down in the aisle. And it happens over and over again. Women are having nervous breakdowns. Women are suddenly hospitalized because they're exhausted. And none of them ever spoke up. And there's a way to speak up powerfully, and there's a way to be looking like you're just complaining and whining all the time. So that needs to be taken into consideration. But when we squelch our knowing, we squelch who we are. We turn off who we are. And, you know, listen, we are all, in some ways, a big contradiction, aren't we? In some ways, we are very ambitious, and we're going to do all these things, and we're going to save the world, and we're going to help these people, and do this, do that. And on the other hand, we're really lazy, and we want to sit in front of Netflix and, you know, binge watch, you know, a series for hours on end. So we have this contradiction of things going on, but the contradiction should never be about who you are. Bringing who you are into the equation and being able to speak your truth in love, always in love, with complete responsibility for yourself, is the way that we get past all of this suppression. And it's the way we get in touch again with our knowing. We can't have knowing. We can't have any kind of knowing until we start bringing forth our truth. We can't. And we can't just shut up and put up either. Haven't we done that enough? Has that ever worked out for you? It's never worked out for me. It's caused me so much pain, set me back so many years. But I will tell you this, and I know this with all of my heart, that when you listen and when you're honoring to yourself, you will learn to speak in a way that is authentic and true to yourself, taking 100% complete responsibility for yourself, not blame shifting, not pointing fingers, not making it everybody else's problem, but taking your own responsibility and finding out really who you are. It's an undertaking, and it happens, it happens to all of us, and we can't stop at any point in trying to speak our truth anymore. Putting it off and staying quiet is not going to get you to the level of life that you want to lead. Does this support the life that I'm trying to create by being quiet, shutting up and putting up, and being suppressed? And the answer to that is no, and it never will. Until you find your voice and the courage and the bravery to speak it in a way that's kind and true to who you are, it's not going to happen. There is a fragility there of our knowing and our intuition that's way deep inside of us. For some of us, very fragile and scared and frightened to come out, because that means having to say something to somebody who's been horrible to you maybe in the past. But maybe it's time to draw that line in the sand. And maybe it's time to confront that friend who's always taking advantage of you. Maybe it's time to even stand up to your children, your spouse, your community, your church even, if they take advantage of you. Nobody can make you feel bad without your consent. No one, not a person on this earth. It's up to you to protect that part of you that is so precious, that is just so you. And that's what I'm trying to say to you today, that your voice matters. It's important. And I want you to bloom where you are. That's what we have going in the Sprint group. And this is why I give so many accolades to this wonderful community. I am actually watching women grow before my eyes. And you're invited to that, of course. Of course you are. You're 100% invited to that. So what do we need to do to find our voices? Well, the first thing you need to do is believe that your voice is worthy of being heard. Only you can do that. It's your voice. And if you're being heard means a recounting of all the past wrongs and going through this blah, 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 and then you did this and then you did, that's just not going to get you anywhere. It's not. That needs to go. That kind of stuff needs to go. It's not about past wrongs. It's about where you are today. And just say, I'm trying to get past this. And I want to be all that. And I want to live a life that is 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels up. You can do that. But you have to take responsibility, again, for all of that. And then you have to start practicing, and with just little things. Practice. I'll give you a good example. And it's a TV example. We can all appreciate that. Have you ever watched The Office? Well, The Office, Pam is the little receptionist, and she's very mousy, and she's with this yucky boyfriend at the very beginning. Later on, she gets together with whatever his name is. I can't remember it. You know who I'm talking about. But she is with this horrible guy, and you're just thinking, gosh, why can't she see what a loser he is? She's got to get rid of this guy. She starts realizing, Jim, thank you, Vanessa. She starts realizing that there's more, and that she does not want to just put up and shut up anymore. She goes to a bar after work, right? And she said she gets people's beer orders, goes to the bar to go get the beers, and they give her the wrong thing. And she says, wait, oh, it's okay. Starts to take the beers, and then starts walking away. And then she realizes, you know what? No. She goes back to the bartender, and she said, you know what? You gave me the wrong thing. Thinking that it was the end of the world, fearful that confronting this was going to be a problem. The bartender goes, oh, sorry about that, gets what she needs, and she's taking it back, and she is lit up. I often think about that, because this is how it is. It's so bad, and I've done it myself, that we just put up with anything. I remember one time leaving the having my hair done, spending a few $100s, people, on getting my hair done. I didn't like the cut, and I didn't like my color. I didn't like it, but I told her I liked it, and I showed up again for the next appointment. Why do we do that? Why do we put up with less than stellar results from something, we shouldn't put up with that. But I did. I was just like Pam in the bar with the wrong beers. And we have to start with little things and start sticking up for ourselves in just a small way. Joanne said, that's me. I understand. We do that. It's more important to people please than it is to get exactly what we're looking for. But if we start practicing these little things and say, it's just not quite right. And wow, I like this. This color is kind of great. But I asked for X, and can you fix that? We have to. When we start doing that in the little things, in the big things aren't going to be a big deal. And you know what else we need to do? And I always say this to you guys, but it's the truth. Look for evidence. Life is always working on your behalf, and look for the evidence that supports that. You can look for the evidence in all things. You can look for the evidence when people are saying to you, hey, you know what? You did this right, or you did that right, and be listening for it. Be looking for it. Be aware that somebody's going to notice when you start using your voice, like Bobby says, accepting your worth. They'll start saying something like, hey, you know what? Underscore, I appreciate that you did this, that you went out on a limb for me, that you've mentioned this when something went wrong. It's the little things that make it show up. And then underscore your knowing. When you know something and then you suppress it, when you know that this isn't the right thing for me and you just keep going along and going along, when you acknowledge, you know what, this is what I'm saying to myself, and you speak up and you say it, then things start to click into place. Some people treat you poorly when you speak up and make you feel sorry you gave your opinion. Catherine, that's the way of the world. There's always going to be someone who is going to make you treat you poorly and make you feel bad and what have you. But again, you have an important delineation to make there. You don't have to feel bad. You can just say to them, I guess you just didn't quite get it, or maybe I didn't say it quite the way you needed to hear it, and smile and move on. No one can make you feel bad without your consent. Get that into your head. Everybody, get that in. That when I first heard that, I heard that at that movie about with Julie Andrews in as the queen, and then the Princess Diaries. That's the first time I ever heard that quote, and I remember it was like a 2x4 across my head. No one can make you feel bad without your consent. Amen. Yeah, that's right. And then hear yourself first. You're the first in the lineup. You have a direct line. So hear yourself and listen to what you're saying and love yourself, even if it's something that's not so pretty. Sometimes we hear things in ourselves and it's our knowing telling us that this is not a good situation. Then speak up. It's time. And then start imagining, what if I did this instead? Can you imagine if instead of doing this, I did that instead? And start seeing and visualizing in your head different scenarios. That's the thing that is as important as all the things that I'm talking about right now. If you start to have in your imagination, you can start to bring into these things into play. Because as we start thinking about, we start attracting them. That's the reticular activating system. We've talked about that. I love that. I think it is so critically important to start visualizing and see these. And then if we can underscore the whole thing with, I am powerful, I am using my voice in a way that's edifying and powerful and will be heard and listened to. That will be heard and listened to. Then things start to change. We spend 46% of our time daydreaming. Did you know that? We spend 46% of our day daydreaming, and we think about all kinds of things. We think about the past, we rehash things in our head. What if instead of being just letting that all go and just being super passive about it, we were really active and proactively involved in what we're thinking about? What we think about, we bring about. Nothing ever started without it being an idea first. Saving dinner didn't come into existence until it was an idea. Things begin with an idea. Things begin here. So what if you did that? What if you did that? What if you started that whole thing and started seeing and just imagining and writing these wonderful statements down and started really using your voice in a way that you knew was positive and affirming and edifying and bringing the best out of other people, including yourself? This is how we declutter all the junk that's here. We have to start with that. If we don't start with our inside and connect our brain to our hearts, then we lose out. We're on two different operating systems, and we can't be the very best that we can possibly be. Your voice matters, and your voice needs to be heard, and you just cannot shut up and put up anymore. Not if you're going to be the best that you can be, not if you're going to get beyond all the things that have ever held you back. The obstacles that are in your way, some of them are you. Some of them are you because you're not listening to your inner knowing. And it's so important that you begin to honor yourself and speak your truth. We all have it within us. And your truth is as important as mine. And it needs to be said. And it needs to be shared. And you know how to be loving, you know how to be kind, and you know how to speak in a way that's going to bring people into your world. Bring them into your world and love them up. Don't give yourself away. Give yourself more by bringing people into your little world. All right? I love that. Find your voice, ladies. It's there. It's there. Practice it. Know it. And know in your heart of hearts that your voice matters just as much as anyone else's. Love you guys. Peace. I will see you hopefully on the webinar on Thursday. You can go to savingdinner.com/webinar. You can share that with friends if you want and get them in there. You're going to learn 10 truths that are all backed up by science that will show you how to do this in a way, how to do this whole ketogenic diet in a way that is anti-inflammatory, that's good for you, and that's going to keep you from getting all saggy skinned and looking, and feeling terrible. Okay? There's a way to do this and there's a way not to do it. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. It's not a new webinar. It's the same webinar. But, I can only write one. It takes me a long time. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you at tea time. Peace.